We're on the last day of our campervan rental and thought that we would take some time to give a wrap-up of our experiences with the van itself and just RVing here in Australia in general in order to answer some of the questions a lot of people have been asking us about our experience.
We've been here for nearly 3 weeks on board and feel like we've gotten a really good feel for our choices when it comes to the type and size of campervan we rented, the time of year we came, how we set our schedule up. And so we thought we'd kind of wrap up the trip with some thoughts on those topics.
The first thing that we wanted to cover really was the fact that probably the best thing we've experienced here in Australia is
people.
Australians.
Yeah.
They have been incredibly nice, warm, welcoming, friendly, and extremely helpful everywhere we've been.
All you have to do is start a conversation with someone and they're eager to talk about what there is to do in the area, find out where we're from. They really are as helpful as we've heard, and we've made some friends for life while we've been here and had a terrific experience, and want to thank everyone here for being so welcoming.
Absolutely. Another big question we've gotten on this trip is about driving on the left-hand side of the road. And I have to admit, before coming here, we were at least fairly cautious and not necessarily concerned, but at least cognizant of the fact that it was going to be very different from what we were used to and against our instincts whenever we were making a turn or pulling out onto a road. And so how did you feel? You did the majority of the driving on this trip. How'd you feel being on the left?
Well, it didn't take too long to get oriented. I was surprised, actually, and again, not that I was concerned, but I was cognizant of the consequences of forgetting to stay left, which would be obviously severe. One of our viewers was nice enough to write and give us a little memory aid on what to do when going around a corner, which is the most common time that you could forget how to manage your road position here.
And that little mnemonic is tight left, wide right. And that became a mantra.
Right. Anytime you come to a corner, especially kind of a complex intersection, just remember when you're making a right turn and you're used to staying tight to the right, go out and go wide to the right and stay tight on the left. And other than that and roundabouts, which if you haven't seen our video about driving safely on the road when we interviewed a driving instructor here in Australia, we'll put a link to that. So in case you want to watch that video to get some ideas about driving rules here, if you missed that, he talked about the rules for roundabouts, which are a little complicated, but they make sense.
Yeah, it's not that different from circles in North America. It's just a little bit more structured, and it all totally makes sense once you're doing it.
And there's a ton of them.
A ton, yes.
Yeah.
I have to give you props. Very early in this trip, after successfully navigating our first experiences driving on the left, he also parallel parked this van on the left-hand side and slid it into the spot like it was nothing. So
I was unduly proud of myself, but it did work.
Yes.
Another big question we got was about the size and type of camper van that we chose to rent from Maui. And we went small on purpose because we wanted to make sure that we could go anywhere we wanted to go and didn't have some of the size considerations that we have in North America with our 43-foot motorhome that prevents us from going to some places we like.
And especially since we would not have a towed car here, so this is our only means of transportation. That means if you want to go out to dinner, you need to go to the grocery store, this is your vehicle you're doing it in, and we wanted to make sure that that was going to be as easy as possible.
We chose a vehicle that would fit into just about a regular parking space, and we parallel parked it on the street many times, fit into regular parking lots, went grocery shopping with it. It really worked out well from that standpoint. It's a little small for us for being anything longer than a holiday vehicle. If we were going to have something that we owned and we're keeping longer, even if we weren't full timing, we'd probably go for a Class C size rig rather than a Class B size, but it actually worked out great for the nearly 3 weeks we've been on board.
Yeah, it was definitely a worthwhile compromise on size.
Now, there are a couple of other considerations about the size of the rig. We could have gone with a slightly larger rig, Class C, typically what's called a Class C in North America. We could have done that and still fit in just about anywhere. But there are a couple of reasons we didn't do that. One is we wanted to challenge ourselves a little bit on going as small as possible and still be self-contained. We could have gone smaller than this and not had a bathroom on board, but that would have prevented us from free camping because many places require you to have sanitary facilities on board. You can't free camp if you haven't got a toilet on board. So this is the smallest rig that we could get with a bathroom in it, or as they say here, with a toilet in it. We also came at a time of year that wasn't necessarily optimal from a weather standpoint.
Yeah, we did not plan this based off of what the best recommendations are for travel in northeastern Australia.
When we were in New Zealand, we talked a lot about boondocking, which in New Zealand they refer to as freedom camping. And here that's called free camping. Well, it turns out that it was not the best conditions here because of the time of year we came for free camping. It just was too warm. We really needed to use the air conditioner more than we anticipated. And part of that was because this particular camper van has limited windows that open that have screens on them. So you combine warm weather with few screen-covered windows, with mozzies, which are mosquitoes, which actually haven't been particularly bad here. People talk like the mosquitoes would be worse than we experienced. But nonetheless, there are still not that many windows that open on this particular camper van. And I think what we would suggest is that if you're going to come here and go strictly from holiday park to holiday park, which are also called caravan parks, you can get any size rig you want because not only will you fit in the sites, you'll be able to use your air conditioning because you'll be hooked up to power.
And that's a perfectly legitimate way of touring this entire area because there are holiday and tourist parks completely along the coast and in all of the places that you really would want to be, as it is for the most part anyway.
We expected there to be more necessity to go out into the wilderness along the coast here to find places we wanted to camp. And actually, all of the beautiful places we've stayed have caravan parks, and some of them specifically, like we've stayed at a number of Big Four parks, which are well known here as being in resort type destinations, and that's exactly the kind of places we wanted to visit. So we didn't end up free camping much, but if you want to free camp here, we'd suggest coming more during the peak season when the weather isn't quite so hot, or getting a camper van that has more windows that open up with more screens on them.
Now that's not to say that we don't truly love this camper van. Overall, we are thrilled with our choice. It's worked really well for us, and the fact that it came completely fitted out with everything we would need, pots and pans, dishes, glasses, linens, the works. And because the Maui camper vans tend to be very late model units, this is probably less than a year old, it only has 50,000 kilometers on it, everything in it is virtually brand new. So all of the accoutrements that come with it, all those things are also very new. So it's a very nice experience overall. We're very happy. Our trip has been absolutely fantastic, and we are really looking forward to the opportunity to come back and caravan in Australia again.
This is one of those places that we visit that we just don't want to leave. We're really sad that we're going to be turning our camper van in tomorrow. This has felt like home to us here for the last 3 weeks. We're glad that we're going to have a few days in Sydney so we don't have to leave the country just yet, but we're eager to come back. We love the people here. Thank you to everyone we met who was so hospitable, gracious, and welcoming to us. We highly recommend to anyone who has always dreamed of coming down under, you will absolutely love it here. It's a marvelous, fantastic country that you have to see, and we've only scratched the surface and want to come back and see more.
Don't let the excuses stop you. It's really worth being here. The people and everything we've seen are worth the trip. So start planning.
The flight's not that long.
No, exactly. We were in coach even.
Thank you so much for riding along with us. We hope you've enjoyed the videos we've put out. And as always, follow us at thervgeeks.com for more of our typical how-to content and some more travel stuff too, we hope.
Back to work.